If you understand coming into it what the so-called purpose of this evening is,
Yeah, that's good.
it becomes a lot easier to put the phone down, to focus on your spouse, to really make a concerted effort to meet them where they're at.
Jay and Laura, welcome back.
Great to be
Good
here.
to be here.
It's
Honored
fun to
be
have
here.
you. All right, Laura, you're representing all women today. You're at the
Okay.
table with 3 minutes, 3-1. It's 3-1, which Laura says, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I can still win.
I can handle it.
Why are you two so passionate about married couples doing date nights? What's the benefit?
You know, I think we're so passionate about it because it's just something that we've naturally done. We've always enjoyed being together. There's not any time that I can remember that we were like, get out of my face, that we didn't like each other, that we have a lot of similar hobbies. And so for us, it's never been a big deal to find stuff to do together. We're always finding new stuff, but when we would, one of the things that we do as a part of our ministry is called the Ultimate Date Night. And we travel across the country to churches and communities and do a 90-minute show. And we would get emails after email after email that would say, hey, thanks for that date night, but what do we do now? What else can you tell us to go do on a date? And we're like, and we would answer those emails and we're just like, hey, you could do this, you could do this. And then we were like, why don't we just write a book? Let's just write a book and make it simple for people, because we live in a culture where everybody does just want to pick up. Let me open the app.
tell
Let
me
me
what
pick
to
up
do.
the book. Let me tell me what to do. And so that really is, for us, it wasn't something that we had to work hard at, but we realize the more we do marriage ministry that this is something people really need
And
help
full
with.
disclosure, we have not done every one of these dates. Some of these dates are people that we know and we know are creative, and we've said, hey, tell us a couple of the dates that you've been on that you guys got creative with. So
Well, get on the block here, Jay. Come on, step up the pace, buddy. Come on. Well, that's good. And it's like best of practices.
Yes.
I'll go to you, Laura, once again. What are some examples of date nights? Just give us a flavor of some things that we can do.
Okay,
For
well,
those
I'm
that
going to
want
give
the
you
Cliff
my
Notes.
I'm going to give you my favorite, and it's a free date night. So that's
Even better.
Exactly. In the book, we tried to do some that are free, some that are a little bit of cost, some that might cost a little more, and we try and in the book we give you a key, if that's
that's good.
a legend, here's what this means. And
Yeah.
so
a dollar sign, no dollar sign,
exactly.
$3 sign.
One of my favorites is free, and this actually came from a friend of ours. They are a married couple that have 5 children, all very young, and so date nights were very difficult for them to. You have to get a babysitter. That's going to cost.
yeah.
Or we have to go. Well,
Yeah,
if we go to
babysitter
dinner,
for
that's
5
going to
kids.
cost. Well, and so what they would do is they put all the kids to bed, and he has a pickup truck. They would back the pickup truck out into the driveway. They'd put 2 camp chairs in the back of the pickup truck. They'd turn on their music, and they would sit and watch the stars and have conversation. And they said they could sit and do that for hours. I'm like, what a great idea. Many of us, and if you don't have a pickup truck, just put the chairs in the middle of your driveway, on your
Yeah.
patio, wherever it is. But it was free, and I was like, that is such a great idea. We do that, again, without even thinking, especially coming from Michigan in the middle of summer. We sit out on our patio and just talk for hours, and it's a great date. Doesn't cost.
Yeah, and everything we're going to point to is all the good things you can do. But I got to ask Jay this question. Come on, give me a date night gone wrong.
a date night gone. Oh, I
can
Okay,
do
you're
it.
good. This is what I want. 'Cause this is where we really live.
Yes. So Laura's turning 40.
Okay.
Not anytime soon here, but a while back.
This is a while back.
Well,
Let's be
she's turning
clear.
40. And I'm like, we've got this spa that is 20 minutes from our house. I said, I thought to myself, I'm going to get her a couples massage, because wouldn't that just be so much fun? Now I'm picturing we're laying side by side,
Yeah,
talking. Well, forgetting also that my wife grew up in the South and lives in a box. And unless you're invited in that box, she does not want to be touched. In other words, she's not a big huggy person.
Okay, right.
And we pull up to the spot. She's like, what are we doing? So we're getting a couples massage for my birthday. I said, yeah. I said, I know it was very expensive, but I just thought it'd be great. She's like, I don't like to be touched. and
You're getting me a massage.
and right
Seriously?
then I'm just like, oh my goodness.
No, I'm with you. Jean's thing is just being in the same room. If we were to do that, she's like, I want to sleep. I want to,
Well, and that's what happened. So I'm thinking couples massage. We get in there, we've got our robes on, and this lovely young lady comes in and says, Laura, I'll take you. And so I'm like, well, what? And then Sven walks in. And, I mean, he's literally 6'2", built like,
Best massage of your life.
no. It was painful.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It worked out all the
And I
kinks.
didn't like it. I get out, I said to Laura, I'm never doing that again. She came out and she goes, that was wonderful.
Oh,
So
that's good.
it had elements
So
of
it
bad
was
and
good.
good. But
Well,
it
that
was,
sounds like a little trick on you. then.
Yeah.
yeah.
You never know what the Lord's up
But yeah,
to there.
we pulled
You never know
into
what your wife is up to.
We pulled into that parking lot, and I'm like, we're doing what?
Yes.
For my birthday? Seriously,
Yeah.
you could have just taken me to a mall and given me a credit card, and I would have been fine.
Now, I'm gonna let you redeem yourself, Jay, because you also had one in there about snuggling in front of a fire and that being the date night. Describe that one. That sounded like a home run.
You know, sometimes the simplest things speak the most. My wife's love language is quality time. And so anytime, especially when we had kids, if I could arrange for the kids to be either at friend's house or grandma and grandpa's house, and it's just the two of us, we would snuggle in front of the fire. Now, again, true confession, we do not have a real fireplace, but we have a thing that resembles a fire. And I also know that on Netflix you can get a fire on your TV.
And it even crackles.
And it even
does.
crackles. But just, sitting there with no intention other than to be with her and to, talk about what she wants to talk about.
Sometimes we would do puzzles or play card games. I mean, it doesn't have to be like you just sit and snuggle. Because we just said I don't like to be touched, but that's okay.
But it's figuring out what your spouse desires. And it's not need, it's desire. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the fact that she desires to have quality time with me. It's not an evil desire. So what does she desire? So let's make that happen.
Yeah.
And that's what these dates are
That's
about.
good.
I'll never forget. We're doing a date night in Ohio, rural Ohio. And we were in a cafetorium. So it was their cafeteria and auditorium all in one.
Okay, yes.
Cafegimatorium. So it was also their gym.
Cafegimatorium.
And there was this old couple. They were sitting under a can light. So I watched them the whole time. They had to be in their 80s. And they were just embracing each other. And after they came to buy some books and they said, young man, I said, yes, you need to let all these young people know what you did to get your spouse is what you need to do to keep your spouse.
Oh, that's good.
That is gold, and so that's the dating thing. Yeah. You dated, you spent money, you did things
You
together.
talked.
Yes.
That's what that says.
That's a big one.
You used to talk to me a lot more when
Exactly.
we were dating. Has anybody ever heard that?
Oh, yeah.
Let me ask this again for younger couples who might be captive to screens. I mean, how many restaurants that Gene and I have gone to, and we're really good about putting phones away when we're having dinner. If it's at home, same thing. If we're at a restaurant, the same thing. But you look around the restaurant, I mean, families of 3, 4, 5, they're all looking at their screens. Nobody's talking.
Right.
And so speak to that need to put that away.
It's funny because
That's not a date night.
No, it's not. I can't remember who did the study, but they said the average American couple spends 4 minutes a day alone together. And they qualified that by saying no screens. So alone means no screens. 4 minutes a day.
wow.
That's frightening because it just, communication is so hard to begin with. And when you're not spending any time doing it, it complicates matters.
Right.
So there are a couple of things in the book I'd like to ask about because I get that, and I think we're pretty good about that. But purpose. You mentioned that dates should have purpose, which seems kind of counter to just hanging out and serving my spouse. So how do I inject some purpose into a date where I'm trying to give them what they're desiring, to Jay's point?
Well, I think that is what the purpose is.
Okay.
The purpose of whatever the date is. Well, first of all, when we first started floating ideas out there to people, when they would email and I'd go, well, what about if you do this or do this? The response 99% of the time was, but I don't like to do that. But the purpose is to just be together. So often, and I think Jim said this in the beginning, we are so busy that we neglect connecting. We neglect that time because we think, when the kids are grown and our jobs have settled in and then we'll still be there. If you haven't built into this relationship, you're not still going to be there 15 years down the road, when the kids are gone.
Let me ask you this because temperaments are so critical. We tend to marry people that are opposite. Not everybody. I don't mean to overgeneralize, but let me just overgeneralize. Jean and I'm extrovert, she's introvert. She loves communication, deep communication. She's the person that walks into a big room and she'd like to be with 3 people and really get to know them. That is like, oh my goodness, how could you do that? I want to say hi to all 150 people. I really don't want to know much about you. Other than, this is fun, isn't it? It's fun to be here, right? Good to see you. Bye. Okay. So that's just the illustration at its extreme. But when you're in this context of a date night, you do have people that have bents. You have people that are deep inward thinkers, that are numbers people. They're not given to outward communication. They're trying to figure out what you're thinking. So how do you as a couple improve that communication with that goal in mind, with someone who is not that talkative, might be more introverted, husband or wife? How do you recognize that? Because you're trying to help them out of a hole in the communication.
Right.
That's a great question, and I think one of the things that we've always come back to is because Laura, this is our Laura loves to shop, and early in our marriage, I would literally
Let's
go
be
shop.
clear, I don't have to buy. I just like to shop.
Oh, that's even worse.
I like
She
to
doesn't
walk around and
have to
look.
buy.
Why would you be shopping without the goal of buying?
But I detested it. I couldn't stand it.
I'm
And
with
so
you.
I would make life miserable on those Saturdays we would go to the mall. and I'm like, why would I? Finally, someone said to me, Jay, why are you doing this? Because it's important to Laura. This is something she enjoys. Why would you do that? And I began to change slowly to see the joy that she found in the way that she was wired. And so, do I enjoy shopping? No, but I enjoy watching her enjoy that. And as far as helping someone change their temperament, I don't know that we can.
Well, you can't change them, but it's how to encourage them to
them.
come out of that shell.
Well, to just
If I could say it that way.
again, true confession, I'm an introvert.
Okay.
And we were talking before the show about our little neighborhood parties.
Yes.
I can't stand them. I'm like Laura, don't make me go, please,
Yeah,
please,
please,
just let me stay
please.
home and watch football. But this last one we had, I got in the car when we were done, and I said that was really fun. Thanks for making me go.
Yeah.
And it was so sometimes we do these things to stretch our spouse a little out of their comfort zone, and when we do that, and we do that gently, because she did it very gently, but she's like, Jay, these are our neighbors. We got to love them. We've got to show them Jesus, because a lot of them don't know Jesus.
I love your attitude. That's great. Okay, got to show them Jesus. Okay, Laura, let's go.
Yeah.
It's like taking your kids to church on Sunday morning when they've been screaming and yelling. We're going to go learn about the love of Jesus. Get in the car.
That's right. Argue all the way to church.
Exactly.
That's for sure. We have a growing number of listeners, which is great, that have younger children in the home. And that, for Jean and I, just out of our own experience with Trent and Troy when they were younger, it was hard to do a date night. I mean, you said earlier, the babysitter thing and all that.
We highly recommend grandparents. As grandparents, we highly recommend grandparents. But we also encourage couples, especially if you're involved in a church or maybe you're involved in a small group with couples who are in the same walk of life, you can share childcare.
Yeah.
And what I mean is, Jay and I are going to go out this weekend, and hey, can you guys take our kids Friday night?
Yeah, that's great.
And then we'll take your kids next Friday night. Sharing that responsibility, sharing that, then you give everybody a chance to have a date night. It doesn't cost you anything. It just, other than you have somebody else's kids in your home.
But sometimes that can be a good thing, because it keeps your kids entertained.
But it is important in that young kids, because the kids demand so much of your time and your jobs demand your time and just life demands so much of time, to have that hour. Again, that's why we have so many in the book of free dates, things that you can do that don't cost a lot of money, so that if you do need to spend the money on childcare, you can spend the money on childcare and then just go for a walk.
I could just see the husband looking through the book going with a little highlighter. This one,
This
page
one's free.
4, this one, all the free dates. Don't do that. Occasionally spend some money.
Well, related to that, there are special occasions. And it feels like
Absolutely.
there's a lot of stress and pressure on these special occasions. In fact, we went to a marriage getaway one time, and we had one of the worst fights ever in our marriage. It was like, I think it was because of the expectations and the stress of young kids in the home. So talk a little bit about how we can kind of let go of those expectations and maybe appropriately celebrate maybe a cost, but maybe appropriately celebrate
Well,
the big
I
ones.
think there are times. I mean, we do our Celebrate Your Marriage conference, and we have people who come to celebrate their 10th, 15th, 25th wedding anniversary, and it's it's a big deal. But I think that there are times when you go, you know what, this is something to celebrate. 40 years is something to celebrate, but let's try and celebrate it in a little more calmer.
Well, I'm sure you guys
Lower-
are good friends with Gary Thomas, the author.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good friend of ours. And one of my favorite quotes from Gary is, the problem with marriage is we expect too much from it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I mean, I think that sometimes we build all these expectations up, and no, Laura did not marry Jesus Jr. I mean, I am a human being with flaws.
but
and,
you're so close.
but
Laura's gonna be
and all the
quiet right
wives
now.
went, what?
yeah, but so you're going to disappoint. You're going to have those moments where our expectations are unmet. But as loving couples, we need to nurture and encourage each other during those times that, this wasn't quite what we expected. But let's look at the good things that came out of it.
But I do think there's also times for anticipation. Yeah. When you do have a big, 10, 15, 20, 25, anticipating those, not the day before, but thinking about it as it's coming up and what can you do that would be fun, but
Yeah.
try and eliminate the
Let's
stress.
let's also educate young couples when your wife says, I don't need anything. I don't want anything. Can you believe I took the bait? Oh, I think I'm still paying for that.
This happened to you, didn't it?
It was like the 4th or 5th, I don't know, some early anniversry.
The problem is for us men, if we say I don't need anything, guess what?
We
I don't
mean
need
it.
anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not what she's saying.
Not
We're
at all.
trying to
Don't take
alleviate
the bait.
your guilt and stress, but think of something. Just think of something.
Only yet to add more to the guilt. You thought I
This-
didn't want anything?
This is a trap.
Who said that? One of the things too, oftentimes a date night can turn into a business meeting, and we got to be really careful. We've talking a lot about what types of date nights to have through your great book, Ultimate Date Night: 52 Amazing Dates for Busy Couples. Now let's talk about the content of the date night. You don't talk budget. You don't talk about problem with the kids.
Yep.
Don't talk about the in-laws and where you're going to go for Thanksgiving or Christmas. This is time to be more intimate.
Right.
Well, and this is why some of these are so good because you're so active in the date that we've got that you can't really be talking. For example, one of my favorites is called the treasure hunt. And most people don't know there's a thing called geocaching, which you can download an app on your phone and you can go out and find these little treasures. Well, while you're doing that, you're going to have some conversation, but you're not going to be conversating about the kids or about business. Another one where you're probably not going to be talking about kids is when you go axe throwing together.
Haven't tried that one. If you're not on good terms in that moment, I don't think that would be a good one.
Requires great
I'm
trust.
so sorry, honey, it slipped.
That's right. But there's certain activities that are just going to lend themselves to not having conversation.
Yeah, I want to put a caveat even on that because there was a time when we were having a date and Dina was talking about the kids. And I'm like, no, I don't want to talk about the kids right now. And she looked at me and she said, that's what's on my heart right now. And I realized, okay, I can't be like black and white about
Right.
this. If that's really where she's at, we're not going to score points by saying nope. So we have to be sensitive, don't we?
That's very true. But also we're big proponents of encouraging couples to spend 15 minutes every day in uninterrupted conversation. So kids are in bed, before the kids wake up, whenever it is, just look at each other eyeball to eyeball and have and that's where those conversations happen. That's where you plan the next Christmas, the vacation, you talk about the kids, what's going on. Then when you go on your date nights, that need has already been met. And if you can build that habit, then when you go on a date, you can be more intentional about being with each other and talking about your marriage and those types of happenings.
Yeah, and that's a good reminder. The other thing you can fall into is that feeling like this is a box you check.
Yes.
And I think maybe men would fall into that trap a little bit more. Okay, I'm doing it. What more do you want from me?
Dinner and a movie.
Yeah,
dinner
boom.
and a movie.
Check
dinner
the
and a
box.
movie.
Wasn't that a good movie? Did you like the movie? Good. I've been intimate now, emotionally. I mean, seriously.
Right.
And so you have to have not the letter of the law about date night, but the heart and the spirit of it. You got to aim for that.
Right.
And
It's
some people will struggle with that just naturally. It's not because they're bad people.
Right.
It's
Right.
just my head's not there. How do you get your head there and get your head in the game?
Right. I think you have to really take a conscious look at what is the purpose of this date. We didn't do this specifically, but we've there's two different types of dates. There's romantic dates and there's adventure dates. And some are more romantic, some are less romantic, some are more adventuresome, some are less adventuresome. But if you go into there knowing, we love to whitewater raft. Well, that's not going to be a romantic date. That's going to be an adventure date, but we both love it, so let's go do it. As opposed to, we also like fine dining. That's going to be a romantic date. And if you understand coming into it what the so-called purpose of this evening is,
Yeah, that's good.
it becomes a lot easier to put the phone down, to focus on your spouse, to really make a concerted effort to meet them where they're at.
So really, again, what you're talking about is setting expectations. That's what that is,
Yep.
as to what the date night is about. And do that probably a little bit gently in some cases, and other times pretty forthrightly. What's on for tonight? What
Right.
are we trying to aim at? I mean, that, again, with black and white thinkers, that's really helpful. They actually like that. Where's God in all this? And how do we, as Christians, how do we honor him and invite him into this in a way that, it makes sense? It's not concocted. It's real.
Every good and pleasing gift comes from the Lord. And I think when we realize that our spouse is that good and pleasing gift, and we're honored to be able to be with them, one of the things that we've tried to do with most of the dates is to have because I'm a preacher at heart, according to my wife, is to have a spiritual tone to it. What is, and again, like with the axe throwing, iron sharpens iron. Well, honey,
I'm sorry. Bing! Oh, honey, sorry.
a good
Iron
day.
sharpening, or iron sharpens iron. Yeah.
or the geocaching, finding treasure in, we're in clay pots, but we're a treasure in a clay pot. And so that's what these date nights for those that are not necessarily bent on the spiritual side of life. This is just a gentle nudge towards how you can bring God into the date.
Yes,
and
and
make
so
it,
in the book we do have some helpful hints for discussion that
good.
points you towards spiritual things,
Yeah.
towards God, place that you can journal if you're that type of person. Here's what we did, here's what we talked about, those kinds of things if you want to keep that. I'm more the journaler than Jay is, but yeah, that's definitely God has brought you together for a reason, and so God is a part of this union, and we want to make sure that you steer your dates that direction.
and Scripture's clear. I mean, Song of Solomon is basically one big date. They're pursuing one another, and that's what dating is about: is pursuing one another in a way that garners that romance, that garners those feelings that we first had when we were
A
married.
little bit cultural difference, You remind me of a great goat. Or pomegranate or whatever, right? You got to kind of go with the culture.
It was also the goat's teeth, I think, were involved.
The goat's teeth, the goat's hair. Don't try that one.
That's
It
right.
doesn't work today. But this has been great, you guys. Thanks so much. What a wonderful help. Ultimate Date Night, 52 amazing dates for busy couples. You made it as easy as it can be. And as we said, the recap, there's no expense, some expense, and more expense in some of these date nights. So it's up to you to figure out which one you want to lay out there at that moment. And, like we often do, if you can make a gift of any amount, we'll send you the copy of the book. And that way we're doing ministry together. You're part of the team, helping other couples, saving babies' lives, helping parents be better parents. Why not do a win-win-win?
Mm-hmm.
So send a gift, we'll send you the book, and you can get with the date nights.
Yeah, call us today and donate generously as you can. Our number is 800, the letter A in the word family, 800-232-6459, or we've got all the details for you in the program description below. And when you're at the website, be sure to look for a list of free conversation starters that we have for you. Our marriage team has compiled a list of at least 100 different things that you can use to kind of kick off your conversation when you're on a date. So check that link out, and I think you'll enjoy that as well.
Hey, Jay and Laura, thank you so much. This has been fun and insightful. So thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you for joining us today for Focus on the Family with Jim Daly. I'm John Fuller, inviting you back next time as we once again help you and your family thrive in Christ.